Cathy Lisa Schneider. She's a professor at the American University who writes and teaches on comparative social movements, urban politics, and political violence. Cathy, really appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
You know, I finally today read an account from a Chilean that sort of put it all into context for me. We think, okay, this started with a subway fare hike, which was 30 pesos, which is the equivalent of 4 cents. But then they sort of grew, and I guess fury and anger grew over this because then there was a picture of the president that went viral where he was dining in an expensive restaurant. So it really just boils down to inequality, doesn't it?
Yes, and it has been growing steadily for 40 years. And many people, lived there during the dictatorship, where everybody thought once they restored democracy, they would reduce inequality again. And people were told to hold off. It was more important to have democratic stability, to keep support of business, to keep the economic model going, to calm the military. And so people trusted their leaders, and inequality grew. And they trusted their leaders, and inequality grew. And it is a country, it's an OECD country, it's the country within the OECD that has the worst inequality after you count taxes and transfers. It has the fewest transfers and the least taxes on the wealthy. And so the wealthy live in gated communities with swimming pools, and everybody else lives in debt.
So this has been boiling under the surface for a while now. This didn't just come out of nowhere.
Exactly.
You know, we've seen demonstrations and uprisings in other countries. Lebanon is another close example of what we're seeing there. But what is unique about what's happening in Chile?
Well, I would say it resembles Lebanon a great deal. It's unique for Chile because it was put off for so long, because Chile went democratic in 1990, and because people had been unhappy with inequality that long. And these protests weren't planned. Most protests historically in Chile have been organized. These took everyone by surprise, and they came from a younger generation that didn't live the dictatorship. And once they exploded, it's like Chilean friends of mine say, it's like everyone awoke from their slumber. Everybody left their houses. They went to the streets. And so while some of the earlier protests were violent assaults on property mostly and arson, and everyone else came out afterwards. Now there is almost the entire population in the streets, and it's up and down all of Chile.
Where are things going from here, Cathy? How do you see the situation evolving? The president's been trying to make some changes.
So I don't know. We really are on edge. It can go any way. It's not clear what the original protesters would accept, because Sebastián Piñera offered a package of reforms and they said not enough. They've asked for a package of democratic reforms, decentralization, people's power. They're not going to win that. They've also asked for him to resign. He's not going to do that. There are people much further to his right in his coalition. So it's not clear when they can say we accept victory. In the meantime, he's also engaged in massive repression. He's got tanks in the streets, military in the streets. I've seen pictures taken from makeshift prisons where they have prisoners running naked.
Do you think the UN will make a difference there if they send in monitors?
They may. Piñera himself has been very interested in rule of law. He is very conservative. He has not shown any interest in social equality until now, but he would not want to be accused of lawlessness by the UN.
Interesting. Well, Cathy Lisa Schneider, really appreciate you coming on and
Thank
putting all of that
you.
into context for us. Thanks for that.